Taking a look at some training camp battles for the Seattle Seahawks today, we're beginning with the wide receiver position. Now, obviously, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, those two spots are not up for grabs. That is a very strong 1-2 punch at the wide receiver position. The problem becomes, well, who's the number 3 wide receiver? We'll break that down. Before we do, though, I want to hear from you guys. Who should be wide receiver number 3 for Seattle? Cast your votes for me in the comment section. And as you'll see, it doesn't have to be somebody already on the roster for Seattle. Now, the top guys on the roster that we've seen play before in Seattle, David Moore, who quite frankly took a step back this past year, was better in 2018, not as good this year. Phillip Dorsett was the free agency pickup, the best production of these guys. He offers some speed. He's also never lived up to his first-round pick status. I like him more as a number 4. And then there's also John Ursua, the second-year player out of Hawaii. Didn't make any real impact last year. A late-round pick who maybe could compete at camp for a role, much like this year's 6th-round pick out of Florida. That is Freddie Swain, who kind of like Phillip Dorsett, the actual receptions, those are lower. The touchdowns, though, are pretty high, which does fit with what Seattle's had recent success with in past years of their receivers being super efficient once it comes down to the end zone and whatnot. Now, we'll break down a free agent target here, but I want to let you guys know about a unique offer. Our friends over at Fanatics and the great Marshawn Lynch have paired for the first time in Fanatics history with an individual player, or former player, I should say, for their merchandise line. Beast Mode t-shirts are on sale. A little tough to read that one, but it is the I'm Just Here So I Don't Get Fined t-shirt. They are all available and 30% off if you head over to chatsports.com/beastmodet, as in t-shirt. That's chatsports.com/beastmodet. Go check it out. They've got a whole bunch of different options and colors. And I'll put that link in the comments and in the description for you. My preferred option, though, for Seattle is not David Moore. It's not Phillip Dorsett. Of course, they can stick on the roster, especially Dorsett. It's actually Josh Gordon. Now, with Antonio Brown being, well, he's being Antonio Brown, I think Gordon makes the most sense for Seattle. The latest reports and rumors and whatnot around Gordon that, of course, he's applied for reinstatement, and a decision could be coming fairly soon, potentially within 2 weeks or so. Now, Gordon's numbers last year, they weren't incredible, and they're never going to achieve that awesome 1 year with the Browns where he was the number 1 receiver in fewer games than everyone else. But he makes sense as a fit for Seattle. He can come in and be that number 3 receiver. He can be a vertical threat when they go 3 wide. DK Metcalf on one end, Josh Gordon on the other. Put Tyler Lockett in the slot and just let Russ cook. It makes sense, doesn't it? I think it'd be a great move for Seattle. And not only that, training camp this year is going to look different. It's going to be abbreviated in terms of what it normally is. There's not going to be as much pad. There's no preseason games at all. So you want someone who has at least some familiarity with the organization, and Josh Gordon fits that mold. And of course, it would give Russ another weapon as well, an added bonus. So sign Josh Gordon. I say yes, but of course, we here at Chat Sports want to hear from you guys. Type Y for yes or type N for no. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Now, if you made it this far in the video, thank you guys very much, and we hope that you're liking here what we are doing at our new Seahawks channel at Chat Sports. As a reminder, more subscriptions equals more videos, so if you haven't already, hit that big red button and why don't you tell a friend while you're at it. Let's go to the offensive line for Seattle Seahawks. Now, I feel pretty confident that Dwayne Brown, who I like, is set in stone at left tackle, and I feel good about Brandon Shell at least winning the job, maybe not that much confidence in him. But the interior of the offensive line, I think genuinely has 3 spots open, and although it does go fairly deep, I don't really think Jordan Roos or Chance Warmack, no disrespect to Jordan Simmons, are really worth discussing. So we'll get to the guards, but I want to start at the center position because I think it's going to be a pretty heavy battle between B.J. Finney, my preferred favorite for this job, against Joey Hunt. Now, one important note here, I did include Hunt's playoff performance in these stats from Pro Football Focus. That's not great. Now, you can, double, almost triple the numbers for B.J. Finney. They're still better, though, than Joey Hunt, and you're hoping in a whole offseason will make Hunt look better. I was pretty underwhelmed by the job he did this past year for Seattle, getting a bunch of reps at center. B.J. Finney has some awesome flexibility on the offensive line. He's able to play almost any spot, but especially on the interior. But they added Finney for a reason, brought him from the Pittsburgh Steelers in free agency. I believe that he is going to not only be the favorite to win the center job, I think he's going to, because I just think he's a better player. I think he's an upgrade over Hunt. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. And I'm giving you guys a rare opportunity to type BJ in the comment section. So type BJ if you're going with BJ Finney, or type JH if you are going for Joey Hunt instead. We'll get to Ethan Posick as well in a little bit, but I think those are the top two contenders for that starting center, and very important job as well. We are rapidly growing our Seahawks channel here. We are getting closer and closer to 2,000 subscribers, but I'll let you guys in on a secret. Our Dolphins channel, well, they're gaining some ground as well. So Seahawks fans, don't let Miami, of all franchises, catch up to you. If you have not already, I'm not sure what you guys are waiting around for. Hit that big red button and subscribe today. Let's go to the offensive guard spot. And I think long-term, Damian Lewis is one of the guys Seattle really wants to emerge, which unfortunately has been said multiple times around multiple offensive linemen. But I really like this pick by Seattle in round 3. Lewis out of LSU at his best in the ground game. He's a mauler. He's powerful. He's strong. He fits what Seattle was looking for in a right guard. The bad news for Lewis is that this preseason, this offseason, it's not the way it normally is. I mean, normally you have rookie minicamp. You have OTAs. Those young guys are getting actual reps in camp and getting to meet and be more familiar with the coaches. That hasn't happened this year. Now, as a third-round pick, he's going to make the roster, but he is certainly behind the 8 ball now when it comes to actually starting for the Seattle Seahawks. So should he? Type 1 for yes or type 0 for no. I think long-term, he is the ideal replacement for DJ Fluker at right guard. But for week 1, I felt more confident after the draft than I did now. I don't know if that's actually how things are going to go down. So cast your votes. 1 for yes or 0 for no. That leaves several other spots open, or excuse me, one other spot for several players at the guard position. Now, I think Mike Iupati is going to be the favorite at the left guard spot. He's the veteran. He has the experience. Ethan Posick, to be blunt and honest, I have been pretty darn disappointed by. Second-round pick a couple years ago out of LSU. Can play center, can play guard, got some good size, but has not adjusted at all to the NFL game. The one guy that is very intriguing to me, potentially long-term at left guard, since Iupati is a little bit older, is actually Phil Haynes. Now, he didn't play at all in the regular season. He only appeared in the playoffs. I thought he was better than Joey Hunt. Not saying that much, but he at least showed some promise there. And I don't want to disrespect the two Jordans, Roos and Simmons or Chance Warmack, but I think those guys, that big six, if you will, when it comes to the interior, I think those are the most likely starters when it comes down to the offensive line for Seattle. But that will certainly be critical and worth watching this training. Training camp battles continue for the Seattle Seahawks, this time at tight end. Now, I feel pretty darn confident that Greg Olsen is going to be the starting tight end for Seattle. After that, though, well, it's a pretty big question mark because they got a lot of bodies, players with injury history, some iffy contracts, and just too many guys overall. They go very deep. They go 8 deep at tight end. And I'll let you guys in on a secret. Unless the NFL drastically increases the roster numbers this year, there's no way Seattle's carrying 8 tight ends. Heck, they might not even carry 4 of them. So before we break down who some of the options are, I want to hear from you guys. Who do you think will get cut and or traded at tight end? There are going to be some difficult roster decisions to make for Seattle, so cast your votes for me in the comments section. I do want to make note here of Greg Olsen before we really dive in here. Seattle brought him in. He is at the twilight of his NFL career. He's not going to put up 2016 numbers, I don't think. But he's a good veteran. He's reliable. He can still make plays for you. With the way Seattle paid him, I think he's going to be tight end 1 this year. Now, long term, I think Seattle's kind of hoping for a good year or good career out of Colby Parkinson. He, however, might end up being a stash this year. Now, here's what we mean by stash. Colby Parkinson suffered a foot fracture, had surgery back on June 2nd. They took him in round 4 out of Stanford. That injury, in most cases, isn't season-ending, but it does at least reduce the chances of him making an impact, especially early. So if Seattle carries other guys at tight end, you might see Colby Parkinson just play the entire year on IR. That way, he gets paid, Seattle gets to keep him, and then next year he has a chance to emerge as a potential option at tight end. Maybe he comes back quicker and he earns his way onto a roster spot, but I would not be surprised if Parkinson gets kind of a red shirt year for the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, Seattle loves tight ends, and they love their quarterback because, well, he's Russell Wilson. And if you love Russ as well, his jersey is 25% off at chatsports.com/Russ Jersey. Go check out the gray and the navy jerseys that are on sale right now. I will put that link for you guys in the comments and in the description, so all you guys got to do is click and go shop. The real drama, though, at tight end, and ignoring some of those other bottom of the roster players, is that between Jacob Hollister, Will Dissly, and Luke Wilson. Now, Dissly has shown some great promise. He's a great blocker, makes some big-time plays, but he's always hurt. And that's a huge concern for Seattle. Luke Wilson, reliable veteran option, but he's cheaper than Jacob Hollister. And although I like Hollister, please don't get me wrong on that front, I prefer Will Dissly, and Hollister's more expensive. He fared well last year, played a very good role when healthy for the Seattle Seahawks, but they got all these tight ends, and Hollister's going to count $3.26 million, which Seattle can save all of if they cut, or potentially more likely, trade him instead. If I'm Seattle, and because Hollister might be tight end 3 for this team, even though there are injury problems, I would explore, of course, trading him first and then cutting him instead. I don't want to spend over $3 million for my number 3 tight end. Now, if he impresses in camp, though, well, he might just force Seattle's hand instead.